Do I really need to introduce this? Let's go. What's going on, everyone? Clep Napier from wearecritics.com, and today we're here to talk about, breakdown, and review the return of the Devil of Hell's Kitchen. That's right, Marvel Studios, Marvel TV's Daredevil Born Again. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It stars the return of Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, Deborah Ann Wall, the return of Elson Henson, that's right, Wilson Burnell as Bullseye, and additions Michael Gandolfini and Genya Walton. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Devil of Hell Kitchen is back. And yes, it is streaming now, episodes 1 and 2 on Disney Plus. But I am here to review the entire season 1 through 9. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I had the opportunity to see this entire season. And no spoilers, ladies and gentlemen. Only build up. That's right. We're going to talk about what to expect, the cool, the not so cool, and what's going on in this entire season, spoiler free, right now. But in good fashion, before I talk about what I thought about this entire season 1 through 9, let's talk about what is happening in this series. That's right, this is a direct sequel to the Netflix 2015 Daredevil series that came out back when the MCU was still a little baby and still kind of expanding its universe. Now, I've watched this thing many times, a couple of times, maybe 2.5 times, all the way through. And I promise you, I wasn't able to kind of get a feel of exactly when this series is taking place, but I can tell you that it is starting way after Endgame, definitely after Hawkeye, and quite some time after the Echo series. That's right. So I would recommend that you guys go back on Disney Plus, because you can see all these seasons, all these shows, and brush up on Daredevil season 1, 2, 3 especially, and definitely want to take a poke at or peek at Hawkeye and see what's going on with Echo for Wilson Fisk reasons, primarily to kind of get a gist and feel and emotion of some of the characters that you're going to be seeing once again, and new characters that may be thrusted into this series. I'm on board for the ride because simply I am emotionally connected to these characters. And I feel like with a lot of things with the MCU, a lot of newcomers that are jumping into this stuff built based off hype, we're seeing what's going on with that with Captain America, Brave New World. But I don't want to get too much into that. But I do strongly feel this is a connected universe, ladies and gentlemen. So in order to get a little bit of the emotion and a little bit of an idea of what's really happening and who's who and what's what, and maybe so that you would know, oh, this person isn't someone from the past, they're a new character. You kind of want to see what happened when, you know what I mean? And that's the best advice I can give anybody that's going into any of these Marvel Studio properties going forth, for the connectivity reasons. But what did I think about Daredevil Born Again? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me when I tell you this. I am a huge fan of Daredevil. He is my absolute favorite Marvel character. Hear me when I say this. Not MCU, my absolute favorite comic book character, period. Daredevil is my favorite. When I went into this thing, I had very, very high expectations of what to expect going into the series, because I'm a huge fan of the Netflix series and I didn't know what to expect, but my expectations were pretty high because I figured, how could you ever mess up Daredevil, right? Well, going into episode 1 and 2, and I know a lot of you have already seen these episodes, and I'm not going to fluff things, but I am going to be honest and tell you my experience going in. Episode 1 for me was a little bit jarring cinematography wise. Okay, there's some comic booky things that go on, some Ben Affleck Daredevil stuff that I really wasn't a fan of, and then you could kind of see where they were trying to do something different cinematography wise. Visually, this thing has its own identity, very comic booky in a sense. But I will say this: point 5 of this episode 1, the drama, the characterization, the buildup of Matt Murdock's character, and everything from that going forth from episode 1 to 9. Chef's kiss, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 1 has its own thing, but by the time you get to 2, I promise you're going to be on board with the drama that's going on. And that's all I got to say about the first two episodes of the season. Were a little jarring for me because I didn't know what to expect, and going into 1, It leaked. Something spilled online most recently that comes from episode one. I will say that it wasn't for me. Somebody put it out there. There's a fight sequence that goes on to this thing. And I think for me, it was probably the sloppiest of the whole series. So I wasn't sure why Marvel had released that or leaked that so soon in the game. They should just let us watch it when it premiered. But I will say that for me, a lot of people are actually enjoying what they saw as a clip. But for me, it was probably the weakest thing. But immediately the dramatization and everything else that was around all of that and what happens in that episode, the Matt Murdock stuff, the everything, the Wilson Fisk stuff, it was all worth it. I think that yeah, they got me a little bit, but then I was on board almost immediately. It's brief, ladies and gentlemen. It's not even anything to bat an eye at. This is just me being someone so close to the property and so close, and just finished wrapping up rewatching the original series. Going into this, I was like, I don't know, the tones weren't really, but after episode one going into episode two and then going forth, I was immediately on board. But let's talk about why I'm on board with Daredevil Born Again and why I think all the fans, newcomers and old, are definitely going to be on board with Daredevil Born Again. Spoiler free. Again, episodes 1 through 9. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the characters, the new characters that are involved in this thing. Non-spoiler. Okay, so Michael Gandolfini joins the cast, and I got to tell you, he is probably one of the best things in the series for me. His character is primarily the voice of the newcomers of this series, the younger audience, so to speak. And the cool thing about him is they also use him as one of the most important portions of this series that I could say, being that they have primarily, and I'm not saying that they didn't do this in the Netflix series, but I feel like it's more up front in our faces in this series, is they have managed to make New York a main character in this show. Let me kind of explain what I mean by this. Is you really get a gist of what's going on in the story through the eyes of the city. There's a situation that happens in this thing that's really, really cool, that builds upon the city in a way where the ramifications and the things that happen in this series, there's no way to avoid it going forth, ladies and gentlemen. I promise you, and I challenge Marvel Studios, listen, you're not going to hit us with the Arsham nonsense, or the Ten Rings nonsense, or the like things that happen in this show. There is absolutely no way to avoid them going forth in any more Marvel Studio properties, because they have managed to make New York such a main character that the ramifications and things that are going on in this are just going to be impossible to avoid. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in my explanation and reaction, spoiler free, of course, as I get deeper into this. But that's what I'm going to say. Just building off of that one character, Michael Gandolfini, coming into this series, his role and what he does. Non-spoiler, I'm not going to tell you who he is and what he does, but his character in this plays really into that portion of the thing. Another great addition to the series is a young lady by the name of Genya Walton. And I won't tell you who she is or what she's playing. You can go look that up yourself, because I'm pretty sure it's out there, but I don't want to be the one to kind of leak that stuff. But her character pays homage to the original series as well, in a great way that really builds upon more arc, more story with Wilson Fisk and things that are going on in this thing. And I think that she also plays a part as one of the younger voices in the series that speak to the backdrop of where the series takes place. The next character I want to talk about is a very, very important special character. And I think he's going to be very, very special to a lot of people. There is a gentleman by the name of Kamuela De Los Reyes, an actor. That's not the character's name. He's the actor who plays White Tiger. It's not a spoiler, ladies and gentlemen. White Tiger is in the trailer, and we lost Kamar primarily sometime after the shooting of this series. He passed away. A lot of people don't even know this, because I didn't really know until the press junkets and things were kind of taking over the internet. Yeah, very sad and tragic. I don't even know why. I didn't really dig into why or how we lost him, but his character, his portrayal of White Tiger, I think is one of the most important portions of this series, narrative wise and story arc wise, for our main characters, specifically Matt Murdock and Daredevil. I think that him being in this series and what he brings to the show is just powerful. just absolutely powerful, and he will be missed as an actor because it's sad that he's not going to be around to see his impact in this series and what that character White Tiger means. And anyone that knows the comic book lore and knows what goes on with that character and things of that nature should understand like how important White Tiger is and what he brings to the MCU or Marvel Comics period. He's one of my favorite portions. His episodes are my absolute favorite in this series going forth in the show. So anyone that's seen episode 1, you listen, stick around. You have seen nothing yet because it gets so dramatic and so powerful and so action packed. You just listen. What can I say? Yeah, I think that he is a great addition to this thing as well. Another great addition to the show, who we've always already seen in the trailer, is the character Muse. I know a lot of people have their own expectations and thoughts of what goes on with Muse. Muse is Muse, ladies and gentlemen. If you know Muse from the comics, what can I say? You know Muse. Muse is here in the best possible way, a great addition. And one thing I will say about this character that really builds upon the series as a whole is this show it should have been the blueprint, is the blueprint of what She-Hulk could have been. When you're talking about a show about a lawyer in this world of vigilantism and superhero and all that stuff, Daredevil Born Again manages to really pull the seriousness from the Netflix series and the fantastical from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and really mold it very well in a way where it's like episodic, freak of the week, very much like a Law and Order, but with vigilantism shoehorned into it in the most perfect blend. And I feel as though that's what we lost out on with She-Hulk, because She-Hulk really leaned into the campy comic booky realm of that character, which it's in the comic books in a similar way, but to bring it to screen so late in the Marvel world, Daredevil manages to bring back that grounding serious tone and still superheroism that we want to champion and cheer for in a way where, but it's just balanced so well. And I feel like that's the stuff that we're losing with the the late phase 4, phase 5 stuff that people have an issue with. We're back, ladies and gentlemen, in the series, like in the best possible way. Daredevil is that tone that the fans have been missing and wanting. And if this is what the Disney Plus series could have been all along, then we have missed out on so much, because Daredevil Born Again, ladies and gentlemen, brings all of that stuff that I know for a fact that the fans were missing, and they did it in a brilliant way. Let's talk about some of these cameos that I know a lot of you know are already here, but I'm going to talk more about the ones that you don't know or probably don't know, but I'm not going to give you any spoilers about who or what or when. But I will say this: there are characters that get introduced that, who knows, could possibly bridge on to their destiny or who they're supposed to be. I'm not going to tell you who or what, but there are some new characters that are brought into this thing. There are some older characters from other Disney Plus series. One specifically that I know you all did see was in the trailer. We saw a glimpse of Kamala Khan's dad, Yusuf. He is in this. His episode is probably one of my favorite episodes as well, because I feel like it speaks to a lot of who Matt Murdock is. It's one of those moments where you want to cheer for the character, for the man, because Daredevil is a badass, man. And there's just a moment, and we saw it in the trailer too. There's a moment that we see in the trailer, and I don't want to, because it'll kind of tie what episode Yusuf is in. But we see a moment where Matt Murdock is just kind of doing his Matt Murdock thing. Without knowing who the man is behind the mask. We know who the man is, so we still want to cheer, because we know even when he's not full on in suit and character, we know y'all not messing with Matt Murdock. So there's a moment in that episode that we've seen in the trailer that I just, when I see it, my heart pumps, and I'm just like, you might not want to really do what you're doing to Matt Murdock right now. But yeah, it's just a moment that episode for me is like one of my favorites, because it is really a Matt Murdock moment. Being the man behind the mask, we get to see him in the real world and do his thing. Of course, Frank Castle is in this, right? We see that the Punisher's in this. That's why I'm wearing this shirt, ladies and gentlemen, because Frank is Frank and does Frank the way that we want Frank to do Frank. And listen, him with Daredevil, even if they didn't bring us a Daredevil Born Again show and they brought us a Daredevil and Punisher show, I would have been all on. I'm so happy to know that they had announced a special presentation for Frank Castle is on its way, because there's absolutely no way that after this series you are not going to want more Punisher. And I don't know if the Punisher series or special presentation is going to take place as a prequel, prior to or before Daredevil Born Again, somewhere in between Endgame, or if it's going to happen after, what goes on in Daredevil Born Again. But I'm telling you right now that you definitely are going to be happy and proud with the stuff that you get with the Daredevil reunion with Frank Castle in this as well. Listen, outside of the sloppy fight scene that I talked about in the beginning of this series, that's very minimal. You blink and it's gone. They do their best job trying to recreate a certain fighting style that we used to get in the old series with the one shot thing in that. But other than that, this series manages to nail every single thing that we've wanted from Daredevil, from Marvel Studios to bring back into the MCU. And I'm putting my rep on the line by saying I guarantee you're gonna walk away from this thing like, wow. You're gonna walk away from this thing like, wow. They really nailed it. And there's just no way to avoid the elephant in the room when saying ramifications in this series are going to spill over. Listen, Wilson Fisk, there's in Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, I should say, them being back into the series is like the best possible mixture of chemistry that I've ever seen on screen with two gentlemen. You can't have this show without these two characters. Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock, Daredevil. They're parallel. The story being told between these two gentlemen is the meat of what's going on. We have two men who are struggling with identities of who they want to be and who they should be in their new environment and in their new world. And that is the backbone of this series, and you get a lot of that. There's a lot going on with Matt in his personal life. New character, new girlfriend introduced in that. Heather, she's from the comics. Anyone that knows his love interest, and then you got Wilson Fisk, who has his Vanessa, and then he has his new circle of minions that are involved with his rise to trying to be mayor in New York City, and that is a very powerful thing in this story. It plays a huge part in the lore of what is to come and what the ramifications of what's going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I think that all of that is just the meat, the best possible things about how the story is being told. This is storytelling at its finest in the MCU. And like I said, if this is the way that all of our shows could have been done on Disney Plus, then we would have been in for a really, really big treat. But that was the past, ladies and gentlemen. This is the present and future. And I know a lot of you have seen episodes 1 and 2, so you know what I'm talking about. You can speak to some of what's going on, but I guarantee there's a lot of things that are going to happen in the show that even you are not ready for. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I'm going to say about Daredevil Born Again, episodes 1 through 9. The entire series is something to chew on, and I cannot wait for the already announced season 2 that's hitting us next year. They've introduced it. They've already casted Matt Lillard. I don't even know who he's going to play in this, but I'm super excited to know who he's going to play in this, because knowing how this thing plays out, there is absolutely no way that they can go forward with this series and it does not affect the rest of the MCU, specifically in the city of New York. I'm just going to leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know, have you seen episodes 1 and 2? Are you extremely excited to see, the rest of the season? Did it do anything for you? Did you not even know about it? I doubt it, but yeah, it's coming. It's on its way. Like, comment, share. Make sure you subscribe. Please leave comments below, but please try to keep it's minimal spoiler as you can, because people want to see these things. There are a lot of surprises that are going to be coming up, and I'm thinking about doing an episode to episode breakdown, spoiler talk, so that we can get that spoiler talk out together. Let me know if you guys are interested in that. Again, like, comment, share, make sure you subscribe, and for more movie news, television news, and pop culture, check out Daredevil Born Again and the other Daredevil series from 2015, Defenders, Echo, Hawkeye, and I will talk to you all later. Peace.